Hi, and welcome to Underground Video Network Behind the Counter. Mike here, and as with me as always is Richard.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good.
Have a good 4th of July?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. Filmed some fireworks. I got them posted up, so you can find them at my Facebook page.
Nice little segue. Speaking of Star-Spangled Spectaculars, some of the big news in comic book industry right now is the release of Wonder Woman 600.
Big issue.
Big issue. A lot of big names were tied to this issue. It was one of those, not a whole solid story, but a lot of smaller stories broken up. Each of the smaller stories was done by an artist and a writer together.
Yeah, there was like 3 segments.
Yeah.
Three major segments. And
3
some
major
stuff
segments.
in between.
Some of the writers included J. Michael Straczynski, who
is going to become the new writer.
It was a nice little...
It was a good segue, actually, in a way.
Nice little appetizer for what we have in store for with his work on the book.
Yeah.
Jeff Johns also made an
was a good
appearance in the book.
in-between segment.
Yeah.
And then it opened up with Gail
Simone,
which is she's the Wonder Woman writer to me.
Oh, yeah, because when you think Wonder Woman, you know, you always kind of want to hear that there's a woman writing the book, and there could be no better writer of that book than Gail Simone. I love her work on it.
And combined with George Perez.
George Perez's
just made a
art
perfect
and
story
her
in my
story
mind.
were a perfect amalgamation. The other big news tied into Wonder Woman 600 is the announcement of not only a costume change, but
A storyline change.
a storyline change involving Wonder Woman. Even if you're not real familiar in the comic book world, Wonder Woman stands out as one of the big 3
Of DC.
Of DC, and if not, you know, the comic book universe in general.
And she's been around forever.
And she's been around forever. You know, when you think of the big 3 in the DC universe, the Trinity,
Right.
you think Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And to me, I've always liked Wonder Woman. It just didn't seem like she always got the press that the other big 2 did, you know. Each other, you know, Batman's got 2 or 3 books, Superman's got 2 or 3 books, and we were always lucky if we could keep Wonder Woman, you know, on the radar for a while.
She was there. She was always there, constant. There's been some changes.
Yeah, but I'm really hoping that with the new costume and a new storyline change, it gives her a lot bigger. The story line alone has brought up enough controversy that a lot of people who aren't familiar or who read Wonder Woman regularly it's really piqued their interest.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If not just the story, but the big controversy about the costume alone.
Yeah, the costume. Jim Lee, who's big shot at DC now, more or less, has redesigned it.
Yeah.
And from the ground up. I mean,
yeah,
literally.
it's total. It's not just a color scheme change. It's not just a hair change. It's changed from the ground up.
And it's not the white mod suit. Oh.
No, what was that, late
70s.
70s? No.
Actually, I like that, but that's beside the point.
the Rhoda costume. But, I like the idea of the new costume. I've seen pictures and sketches and a few of the sample pages from the new book.
I read it.
I read it. I kind of like the new costume. I know I might be stepping on some toes, but I like the new costume.
It might work. I think it lays the groundwork for the movie.
I think that probably
I think that's why they did the...
Yeah.
And it's out.
It looks better.
It looks better.
Yeah.
And it's more for the movies.
Right. Now, see, I understand the need for changing the Wonder Woman costume. You know, I grew up reading Wonder Woman comic books as a boy, and it's male fantasy. You know, the costume is male fantasy. You can argue it gives her the freedom of movement. It's a distraction for the men, you know, that she's up against, you know, because, you know, who's going to be, you know, concentrating on firing a gun when that's coming at you. But let's face it, it boils down to male fantasy. It's a male-driven industry, and I can understand the need for the change in the costume, because Wonder Woman is the female voice in the DC universe, if not the comic book industry. Right. You know, she is that strong female voice. You know, she's the inspiration. You know, she is to the female character in the comic books that, you know, Superman represents for all heroes. You know, he's the epitome. You know, he's what you look up to. And for Wonder Woman, I believe is the same thing. You know, she's what the women characters and the young girl characters in the DC universe look up to. And it's kind of hard, let's be honest, it's kind of hard to take her seriously.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'm a female role model, but I dress like a stripper. And like, I understand it deflecting more of the look and more of the character is what I feel the costume does.
But the thing is, JMS has now totally redone that now.
Yes.
And that's the thing. That's a little touchy.
Yeah.
Because the Amazons are basically gone.
Yep.
And
Well, she was taken off the island at a very early age and
Right.
raised in like South Central or
The
you know
sewers.
the sewers. Yeah, they make it sound very urban. You know,
Yeah.
that she was raised in.
and then didn't have that moral support, which I think might hurt the Wonder Woman character, because Wonder Woman was supposed to be this character from Paradise Island.
She was the
came-
ambassador of
to-
goodness.
Yeah.
She was the ambassador of peace and goodness, and yet now in the new storyline, she's being raised in the ghetto.
Different, yeah, it's different, and give it a chance, because it was only a small little story. It just got you started. So
Right.
It's 601, 602. We better be telling us more.
Yeah, I hope so. Other big news in the comic book industry is we've been telling you about the new Spider-Man movie coming out.
3D.
In 3D, Spider-Man 3D. The big news here lately is that the role of Peter Parker / Spider-Man has been cast.
Correct, and it's British actor Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield. He's big in the British circles. I think the only movie, and I might be stepping on people's toes again, that we might be familiar with him is Terry Gilliam's The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Which was limited release.
Which
so
was very
maybe some
limited
people
release.
didn't get to see that.
Even if you weren't familiar with the movie or the title, I think the fact that it was touted as Heath Ledger's last movies was enough to get most people who weren't even really Terry Gilliam fans
Right.
to watch the movie. And I thought he was great in it. For him to act against Heath Ledger, now granted, during filming, the tragedy hadn't happened
Right.
yet, but still, after it happened, it was amazing that he didn't let him overshadow him.
Yeah.
He was still the character Anton. You still felt for him. You rooted for him. There's Heath Ledger and there's Anton, and you still felt yourself rooting for him because he was such a likable character. He played the downtrodden. I don't want to say he was a nerd in the movie, but he wasn't the good-looking guy. He wasn't the main hunk, in the movie. He was the guy who's trying to get the girl while the big, handsome guys, just swooping in. But I think after seeing him in The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, I think he's really going to fit the role. And I'm pretty...
Definitely. And then even the Doctor Who fans, he's appeared on
That's
2
right.
episodes. We did a little research, and I didn't remember this, but it kind of jogged a memory after I saw it.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good fit. I think this is going to work.
I think, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of the casting possibilities I've saw for Peter Parker, I think we got lucky.
Yeah, this is going to work, I hope.
Other big news in the comic book industry. For those who've watched the show before, we here at Underground Video Network are big supporters of the Hero Initiative.
Right.
And there are some big news coming up with the Hero Initiative.
Yeah, a local Columbus artist, Josh Meadors, has been suffering from cancer. He was back in our episode
Episode 5.
5 from Gem City coverage. He did a nice talk. Get a chance, go back and look at this.
He came out during the charity auction for the Hero Initiative. Like I said before, when we recapped the episode, I defy anybody to watch that episode and not get a little teary-eyed. That was a real moment, and it, if anything I've ever seen, solidified the need and the want for the Hero Initiative.
Correct.
That right there.
Well, they're teaming up with a bunch of local Columbus artists who are forming a 10-day Help for the Heroes benefit for the Hero Initiative. This is going to be at different stores. They're going to have collection jars where you'll be able to support this project. And they'll be able to donate, help out, whatever you want. Some stores are going to have some charity auctions and so forth. I know Pack Rat Comic on the August the 7th is having some artists come in, namely Daryl Banks.
Favorite of the show here.
Yeah, at least that's what we was informed of this morning. And some other artists, Max Inc. and J.D. Larrabee will be there doing some art stuff. And there's going to be some other artists there doing sketches and stuff. And there's going to be an auction, poker tournament and stuff. And as we get other stores lined up, I know Main Street Comics going to be involved. So get out and support this. This is a real good cause.
This is a great cause. We are big. We're not just, doing the media press. We are real big fans. I actually, if anybody really watches the show, you'll know one of my very first interviews.
Oh yeah.
Was with the director of one of the directors
of representatives from this area
of the Hero Initiative, and they were the first people I went after. You know, we were there at this grand, you know, convention. It's like
It was Mid-Ohio Con,
Mid-Ohio Con.
2008.
Yep, it was one of my first, and I could have talked to this person or this person, but I'm like, I want to talk to them. I want to go, you know, it was the first time I really had a mic in my hand. I was already nervous, but I was like, I don't care. I really believe in the Hero Initiative. I
And the
really
audio
want to.
work? It's on yours.
It didn't work on mine.
We had a lot of other troubles that year.
Yeah. But no, we are big supporters of the Hero Initiative, and we suggest anybody out there who's a fan of comic books, if you want to see your favorite actor or your favorite writers and creators and artists still being able to do what they do, it's a great cause.
Definitely.
So,
Moving on, Detroit Fanfare, a convention that's going to be held October the 30th and 31st at Detroit area, Dearborn. They just announced their big guest comic book creator is going to be there, and it's
Stan the Man Lee himself.
yeah, the Godfather of comics himself.
Yep.
And we're really excited because
Excited is not the word. Okay, Richard just told me this, and
okay.
that's not fake. I'm not faking. That's, you know, I get Stan Lee, you know, goosebumps. You know.
And on top of that, we're going to be covering this event.
That's right. We're branching out.
So we'll be there. We'll have some coverage.
But like I said, even if we don't get a chance to talk to him, I mean,
Oh,
just
there's
for
other
us,
creators who are going to be there. Just go to their website. It's right here. Check out. Everybody's going to be there. I mean, Jim Starlin's going to be there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other creators off the top of my head. I didn't write no notes for this. So go to their website, see what's going on. It's October 30th and 31st.
Yep.
And speaking of conventions, we're going to do a good shout out because we're going to have some coverage from the San Diego Comic Con.
That's right. We are branching out from coast to coast, people.
We have a good friend, Sean Fournier, artist, actually the first artist ever to be on our show.
Yeah.
Back in 2003. He's going out there. He's going to be at table KO6 in the small press area. Stop by the table, see him, get some art drawn. If you're going to be out at the con,
Yeah.
it's sold out. At least that's what they say on G4.
I looked. It's sold out. It's sold
So-
out hard. I think space outside the convention center to stand and wait is sold out. It's that sold out.
So it's going to be huge. He said he's going to take some pictures, probably let us use some of them on the show. And he's going to have a little video. I shouldn't say a little. It's pretty huge.
It's pretty
because
huge.
I created it for him. He's going to have that available, pass out to people that buys his art and everything. And then after the convention's over, he's going to be stopping by the show and do a little chit-chat, tell us
little Q&A.
what went on, whatever he did out there, what he wants to share with you and everything. And then we will have the debut of that video. So stand by in August for that.
Yep. It's a pretty big summer, and we hope your summer's just as big. And we'll see you as soon as we can.
Later.